However, for this episode, we are going to have special guests, but I'm not going to show you guys who are they. Okay, we will look at the video first and then we will know who is the special guest. Okay, first, before we proceed with the topic, we need to look at the meaning of the experiment first. So, what is experiment? Experiment is a scientific test in which you perform a series of actions and carefully observe their effects in order to learn about something. This is according to the Merriam-Webster, updated on 2016. Besides that, experiment can be categorized into few categories, which are classroom experiment. Okay, classroom experiments are activities where any number of students work in groups or carefully designed guided inquiry question. The question usually can be obtained from your lab manual. So you have to read the manual first before you enter the lab. Okay? Materials provide students with the means of collecting data through interaction with typical laboratory materials, data simulation tools, or a decision-making environment, as well as a series of questions that lead to discovery-based learning. These are basically all the data contained in your lab manual. So there are usually objectives of the experiment, post-lab question, and some laboratory requires you to have pre-lab question which you need to answer before you start the experiment. Classroom experiment helps students to learn more about the materials they are studying. For example, maybe you can understand better about the concept of exothermic and endothermic once you conducted the experiment, because you can imagine them better as you visualize and experience it yourself. Okay? In this case, the hypothesis to be tested will generally be derived from material contained in a textbook or other course of materials. Okay, hypothesis usually it's either will be rejected or will be accepted. It depends on the theories that you have learned in your classroom theoretically. Okay, research experiments generally involve both control and treatment groups in order to facilitate comparison. Okay, before you enter the laboratory, these are some rules that you need to follow because it is an obligation to do so. The first is the general guidelines, and followed by clothing and accident and injuries, handling chemicals, handling glassware and equipment, as well as heating substances. We will look into this category in details when you follow me into the laboratory. Before you enter the laboratory, there are some rules and regulations that you need to follow because it is compulsory for every student. What are the rules and regulations? The first general guidelines is to make sure that your teachers are present in the laboratory. Never enter the lab without the presence of your teacher because we are afraid that something might happen in the lab. Second one is, when you first enter the laboratory, do not simply touch anything on the table unless you are instructed to do so. This is because we do not know whether the materials or the equipment can be touched with your bare hands. Better be safe than sorry. Another rules and regulation that you need to follow is the clothing. I have two students here to show the right or wrong clothing that you need to follow. First one I have here is Shahira. Shahira, she presents the right clothing because she wears lab coats and she wears the clothes that are fit nicely to her body. Besides that, she also wears the right shoes. She wears the all-covered shoes. Meanwhile, I have another student with quite not good attire, which is Ain. Ain, as you can see, she wears baggy t-shirt. It does not fit to her body nicely. This might cause injury to yourself. Not only that, she also wears open shoes. You cannot wear open shoes because we are afraid whether the chemicals might spill on your feet. This is another regulation that you need to follow. Never play in the lab because this can cause accidents and injuries to your friends, such as this knife. This can badly hurt your friends. Okay? What you need to do if accidents happen in the lab? First, just shout to call your teachers. Make sure you shout. Do not whisper to her ear because she might not listen to it. Or you can actually ask help for your friends to run to your teacher and call them. What if chemical splash and spills happens to you? You can always run to this safety apparatus, which is eye wash and drench shower. Make sure if you are using the eye wash, make sure the water runs and touch your eyeballs for 20 minutes to ensure that it thoroughly cleans your eyes. And the safety shower, drench shower, you can just pull this triangle to release the water from above, and it will shower you to make sure that every chemicals are cleansed properly. The next one is how to handle glassware. Okay, before you use glassware, you need to make sure that it is safe to be used. How to know whether it is safe or not? Okay, you can always observe the glassware whether it has chip or crack around their surface. Okay, it may happen on the mouth of the beaker or the bottom of the beaker. Okay, besides that, some shattered pieces also may take place on these glass slides. So you always have to be careful in order to avoid from any injuries take place. Besides that, if you are unsure of how to use all of these apparatus, you can always ask help from your instructor. Handling chemicals also have their own rules and regulation. First, you cannot handle the chemicals with your bare hands. Make sure to use latex hand glove as it provides you with protection. Okay. Besides that, if you want to take any sample or chemicals, do not take it with your bare hands. Okay, you can always, for liquid sample, you can always use dropper. Okay, or for solid sample, you can use spatula. This always have in the laboratory. Okay, what if you have remaining excess amount of sample? Can you transfer them back into the bottle? No, you cannot. Okay, make sure ask your instructor on how to properly throw them.
Hi, okay, today I will bring you to our lab to show you our apparatus and equipment that we have in the lab. So let's get started. This is a test tube holder, which is it is for holding test tube, beakers or other apparatus which cannot be touched, which is either the apparatus is hot, so we can use these test tube holders. Okay, this is test tube for holding small samples or for containing small scale reaction. Okay, next is test tube racks, which is it is used for keeping or stand the test tube. For example, like this. Okay, next this is a dropper, which is this is the suction and this is the tube dropper, which is we have the pressure here to suck the liquid drop by drop. It is used for very small amount of liquid. Okay, this is burette, which is the amount for 100 ml. It is used to deliver the precise amount of liquid to another container, which is such as a beaker. This is pipette, which is for example, this is bulk pipette. It is used to dispense small amount of liquid. Bunsen burner, and this is a hot water bath. It is as a heat source to use for our experiment, for heating or warming up our experiment. Okay, next, this is beaker and this is aluminium flask, which is its function is to contain reaction or to hold liquid in this container. Okay, this is our wash glass. It is used to cover a beaker or also as a evaporating dish. Okay, this is a filter funnel, which is it comes in various sizes. It functions as to funneling or filtering samples. Next is measuring cylinder. You can see here is a few sizes, which is it has 50 ml, 10 ml, and then the smallest one is 5 ml, and the largest one is 100 ml. Okay, it functions as to use to measure the amount of liquid of the samples. Okay, next is volumetric flask. This is a 200 ml amount, and this is for 100 ml. Okay, it is used to dilute a precise amount of liquid. Okay, we move to next equipment of laboratory. Okay, this is a fume hood. It functions as to ventilate harmful gases.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wanusuhada binti Sukri, and now we proceed to PPE, which is personal protective equipment. Why we need to wear protective equipment? This is because to minimize exposure to serious workplace injuries and illness. These injuries and illness may result from contact to chemical, radiological, physical, electrical, mechanical, or other workplace hazard. Next, we proceed to PPE. There are 5 components in PPE. The first one is eye protection, where we need to wear goggle in the laboratory to protect our eye. And then the second one is hand protection, where we, for example, in the laboratory, we need to wear the glove so that the chemical do not directly contact to our skin. And then clothing. Usually we wear lab coat in the laboratory to protect our body. And then respiratory protection, where we need to wear the mask so that the chemical, we cannot smell the chemical directly. For the last one is foot protection. Usually in the laboratory, we wear closed shoes so that when the chemical to protect our foot lah. Okay. Next, we have several safety equipment in the laboratory. The first one is first aid. First aid, where we can use when there are minor injuries so that we can have the early treatment before we go to the hospital. And then the second one, we have fire blanket. when they are fired in the laboratory, we can use the fire blanket to put out the fire before the fireman come. Okay. Next, is eye wash. Eye wash in the event of chemical flush. When there are chemical flush, we can wash our eye using the eye wash. Okay, the next one is safety shower. Safety shower, we can rinse the body in the event of chemical spill. Okay, then is fume hood. Fume hood, we carry away the vapor from reagent or a reaction that conducted. Okay, next we proceed to basic sign process skill. There are several basic sign process skill, which is communicating, measuring, observing, classifying, inferring, and predicting. Now we can look one by one. The first one is observing. Observing, we use the sense to gather information about an object or event. Okay, next one, the second one is measuring. Measuring, we using both standard or non-standard measure or estimate to describe the dimensions of object or event. The third one is inferring. Inferring, we making an educated guess about an object or event based on previous gathered data or information. The fourth is classifying. Classifying, we grouping or ordering objects or event into categories based on properties or criteria. Okay. The fifth, predicting. Predicting is where we stating the outcome of a further event based on a pattern of evidence. And the last one is communicating, where we use word or graphic symbol to describe an actions, object, or event. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm Salina binti Jasrin and I'm the last presenter. So I'll be proceeding on the integrated science process skill. So there is 5 of them and I will go one by one. So first is controlling variable, where being able to identify variables that can affect our result at the end. So secondly is defining operationally, we stating how we actually measure the variable in an experiment. So third is formulating hypothesis. Of course, at the first, where we going to do an experiment, we have to state our hypothesis first to do the expected outcome of the experiment. And fourth is interpreting data, where when we have our results, we need to describe it in words. So we need to conclude it so the readers will understand what are the results that we get. So fifth is experimenting. This is very important, where students will learn to not skip the procedure, because if they skip the procedure, it will affect the results of the experiment. Now let's move on to the advantages and disadvantages of teaching science using experiment and laboratory skills. First, the advantages. So the advantages is provide the link between theories and practice, where the theory students learn in class and the practice they practice in the experiment in laboratory. So it will enhance their understanding. So next, help the students to demonstrate their knowledge and practice their laboratory skill. Third, practical experiment can be extended to become a hand-on experimental skill examination. So it will enhance their skills in experimental, and it will give their high mark when the teacher will observing how their skills going on. So we moving to disadvantages. So for disadvantages, it consumes much time to set up the experiment. And second, of course, the equipment that needed for the experiment, it is very costly, and teacher may have difficulty to evaluate student laboratory skill, as laboratory skill need student one by one. It's not grouping. So it have for teacher to difficulty to observing one by one student. So fourth, it may not be feasible for the school to offer one set of equipment to each of the student. It's not possible for the school to provide one student with one equipment because it's very costly. So now we are going to do a conclusions of our presentations. So actually experiment gives student more experience in acquiring the knowledge. Yes, because when they're doing the experiment, they will know something that they don't learn in class. Because what they learn in class is just a theories. But when they're doing that in the laboratory, it makes them, oh, I don't see this in class, but I see this in laboratory. So it's a new knowledge for them. So second, it enhances their learning much more effectively because their understanding becomes more increasing. So it will help the students to understand more. So third, provide control to the teacher during class because students will put in a group during the experiment. So it helps the teacher to control all of them because the student will busy doing their experiment. So that's all from our group. Thank you. Wait. Before we end our session, let us show you one short video that the rules in laboratory. So it will help you students to understand more. Okay? Bye.
Working in the lab and I'm thinking about safety. Got goggles drawn and lab coats on. Open toe shoes out of here. Are you going crazy? Things could go wrong. Things could go wrong. My gloves, they make me safe around chemicals. The chemicals. My love, tie back your hair and prep materials. The materials. 1, don't you taste a sniff. You know you should be wafting if you're taking a whiff. 2, don't mix it in until the label's checked again. 3, no food or drink unless you wanna have us find you dead in the morning. And if you follow this, you will mitigate the risk. I got lab rules, I count 'em. I got lab rules, I count 'em. Long hair tied back against myself. I got lab rules, I count 'em. Now go and tell them to okay. 1, don't you taste or sniff. You know you should be wafting if you're taking a whiff. 2, don't mix it in until the label's checked again. 3, no food or drink unless you wanna have us find you dead in the morning. And if you follow this, you will mitigate the risk. I got lab rules, I count 'em.